Hi, everyone, and welcome to Bitrate, the show where two regular dudes and what not so normal talk about all things gaming, streaming, and introduce you to some of the best Twitch channels we promise you've never heard of. I'm Chris, your host, and today we've got a great show for you. Today we are talking gaming industry news. We've got some pretty cool things on that front. We are diving into the world of RDR2 role playing, jumping into Rocket Arena, and then talking about how we can make some easy emotes for all of you new streamers out there. So as always, I've got the guys with me, Joey and Jer.
What's up?
Saw, dude.
Saw it.
That was a stoic look, Joe. That was a stoic look.
Like, there's a lot of things in front of me right now, okay?
All right, so how you
Joey's relaxed. He just came back from the beach. He's, he's hit his Southern California surfer dude kind of vibe a little bit. He's very chill. He's very relaxed right now. Let it be. Let it be.
Man.
Let him be in his zone.
But
I know.
We'll just go with that story.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, let's jump into it because we've got quite a bit of news today, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? COVID-19. It's a pain in the butt. Everybody hates it by now. Everybody's tired of quarantining. And it's had a huge effect on our economy. And I mean, we're not going to talk about like what it's like for schools and restaurants and bars to be closed down, but it's taken a huge hit on our entertainment industry, the shows we watch, the movies we see, the games we play. Jer, I know you have gone down this rabbit hole over the last couple of weeks. What can you tell us about all of the release delays that we've been seeing over the last couple of months now? Like, what's your take on it?
So there's a lot of things that have happened with the COVID-19 when it hit the industry, right? So everybody was forced home. Like for me, like in my industry, working as an air traffic controller, like I was forced on an irregular schedule. Unfortunately, I can't control airplanes from home. But even though if I could do it in my underwear, it'd be fantastic. However, with the entertainment industry, everything had to be moved at home, right? So like when you go into a major publisher or developer, game developer, they have like these big cubicles and things like that where they develop these games. There's big work groups, big meetings on how, like story flow and so on and so forth.
And
There's
play
always
testing and
play testing. There's all that stuff. Now, guess what? You're doing that crap from home. Now, most of these people that work on game development and stuff like that, and Joey's currently with a buddy is working on developing a game themselves. And they're doing it. One guy is in Korea, and the other guy is in Northern California. That's difficult in itself, is it not?
Yeah.
Okay. So imagine doing it
changes the game up a bit. Yeah.
Sure. Imagine doing it for a large corporation where you're working with 30, 40, 100 developers, and you're just one little nugget, right? Your art development, your art departments. So a lot of these developers have had to be forced to work from home and in a setting that people aren't necessarily used to. You're not able to hit the creative, juices. You leave the front door to go to work, and you step into your workplace, and now you're there, right? Now your kids, families, animals, whatever is going on, and they're not always there. So a lot of these games have been pushed back. So a couple episodes we talked about Cyberpunk 2077 being pushed back till November. We basically said, oh, they just want to get it right. Well, that it's partially true and partially not. But something tells me that they couldn't get their testing done, right? And that's just me kind of throwing out what I think. Spitballing, right? They couldn't get their final testing done. A lot of these games that are coming out nowadays were done. They were just kind of waiting for that final approval, right? Games like what we're going to talk about later with Rocket Arena. Well, it's a domino effect, just like with anything else, right? Just like at home, like if your water doesn't work, guess what? You can't do laundry, you can't do dishes. Next thing you know, you're eating off, paper plates and so on and so forth. That still has a waterfall effect or domino effect in the gaming industry. So Cyberpunk gets pushed back to November. Well, other game companies got super pissed because what comes out in December? Well, Valhalla comes out in December, right? The new Assassin's Creed. Well, let me ask you something. If you are a game company and you know that there's already going to be another game company that's going to come out with a huge title, and then said, "Oh, we're going to push it back 3 months," right up against your release, that's money out of your pocket.
Right. I mean,
So
it's all strategic. Like movies
Yeah,
have been
it's
doing this
dirty
for a year.
boxing. It's strategic, and
It's-
that's fine, dude.
it's big time dirty boxing, right? So other game companies thought about, okay, well, do we delay the waterfall? What does that look like for our workflow for our other games? So the only one that I know that's going to release in October that hasn't been affected by COVID is Star Wars, the Star Wars Squadrons, which I know the three of us are super stoked about, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to throw up a few times on stream with that game because motion sickness, et cetera, et cetera. So when you guys are looking on Steam or wherever you're looking at games, you're like, man, why the hell hasn't this game come out yet? They said it was going to release in October or November. Well, this is why. It's a huge domino effect. Like, for instance, with the movie industry, one of the most like highly anticipated movies of the entire summer, especially for people in my age group, was Top Gun. That was supposed to come out June 24th.
True.
Now it doesn't even have a release date.
Yeah, but I think that's a little bit different because a lot of in the movie industry, right? What a lot of people don't realize is even though there's tons of streaming platforms now, a lot of these like the bigger oh gosh, the bigger companies, the bigger production houses, the bigger whatever they're called, right? Like Warner and give me some names here. I'm losing them.
Universal,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
So
yeah.
these guys
Sure.
all have contracts with movie theaters. And so
Sure.
it's a little bit different because now they're having to delay the releases because if they released it to theaters right now with nobody in theaters, it wouldn't make any money. So, you know, for them, they've already paid out the money to have this thing done. Now they're basically sitting on the IP until people can see it. Right? Because if they
and
don't,
they have investors to answer to as
right,
well.
right.
Sure.
So, but I guess the thing is you've kind of got the pandemic affecting movie theaters, right? And that's why a lot of them are not releasing because they need to meet their contractual agreements with the theater houses and the theater companies. So in that regard, it's a little bit different. I mean, what we're talking about essentially is um, in this situation, there's no, you know, these developers and these developing companies, they don't have that sort of middleman that they have to go through for distribution. They can really distribute whenever they want to. But what they're doing is they're trying to figure out the most opportune time. That way they're not competing with another, you know, AAA title.
Sure.
And that's I think it's a little bit different story. And in this scenario, every day that they delay, right, I mean, it costs them money because it's money that they don't have, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, movie companies, production companies, I mean, they have huge investors. It's all cash. It's injected usually up front. And as the movie goes on, and they know that they're going to get a return somewhere later down the line.
That's the hope anyway. But
Well-
I think moving forward though, just like with every other industry is they've sort of had to reinvent themselves, right? Like what's acceptable, what's doable. And I mean, I hate to get too far into it. For instance, I have a couple of friends that own breweries around town. Their largest profit margin is at the tap, right? But now they're having to sell to go orders. Well, that doesn't mean you're selling repeat beers unless you're sitting in the parking lot and going back in, you know, which I'm not saying occurs, but it might.
Or is
But-
condoned
Or is
by us here
condoned.
at the Bitrate podcast.
But what I'm saying is that like a lot of different business models are not going to be able to exist until things get
Right.
under control.
I mean,
right?
what you're saying
I
is,
was gonna say
is-
there's. Go ahead.
oh, go ahead, Joe.
I was just gonna say that people are expecting to come out of this and get back to normal, but we're starting to see the new normal where movie production companies, you know, are gonna say, I still think that theaters are gonna be a thing for a long time to come, because the experience of going to a theater and seeing it on the big screen and having the surround sound and all that, it's great. But there have been some movies that have released onto streaming platforms, and it's kind of it's a new monster we're dealing with. Now, Chris is right. Movies are different than games because sometimes the contracts are different, and you release it through the box office, and that's what some like the new, I think it's the Coen brothers with Pete Davidson, I can't remember, but they released a movie on Hulu, I think, or Amazon Prime, instead of waiting for the theaters to come out. And I think the returns are going to be lower on that, but some people are just like, we're going to get what we're going to get.
Sure. I mean,
because
Disney
we
put
don't know.
Hamilton. They put them out
Well, yeah,
on that platform. Yeah.
yeah, and that's what, but now that almost everybody has their own streaming platform, it can be profitable to do so. But it is a bit of a different story with games, and I think people have to realize that, like Jer said, working in cubicles with other people and being able to spitball back and forth, it is even different even to working in Discord together. Like, say we're having a meeting right now, it is still different and things do move slower. But I also think there is a bit of strategy to it as well, because I'm guessing Cyberpunk 2077 would have been pretty good. You know what I mean? At this point, the game's finished. They're working on bug testing and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So they take a risk pushing it back if they didn't really need to push it back. But at the same time, during that part of the year, they're gonna get more sales. It's the gift giving season. You know
And
what I mean?
that's why I think Ubisoft is so pissed about
Yeah,
that.
they're
And we'll
pissed,
talk about Ubisoft real soon, by the way.
yeah, but
but
like
a
I
different
said,
way.
it's kind of dirty boxing. It's like, okay, it might not have been fully intentional. Like sometimes an elbow isn't fully intentional in boxing when you're up close in the clinch. It's not always super intentional. It's not trying to be dirty, but sometimes your best bet is to just roll with the punches and say, you know what, this might work out, and it might work in our advantage if we do this as well in this current climate. So, that's how I feel about it.
Could you imagine what kind of infrastructure reorganization that would take to take any mid-level developer and be like, hey guys, so you're gonna have to work at home. Sorry. I hope your internet's good. I hope your workspace is clean, and I hope you're able to talk to people.
That's basically what almost everybody working with, right?
Yeah.
No matter what you do, teaching,
Yeah.
Which is
there's only a few, and by a few I mean dozens of essential things that are actually out in the world happening. Most things have moved to
a digital market. Yeah.
I think
where people are having meetings from home, even like HR or customer service and stuff like that. They're doing it from inside their home at their own computer and stuff. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And like I said, people are expecting us to go back to normal, but I think we're starting to see the new normal. I don't think it's going to stay like this always, but I think the old normal and the new normal is going to be somewhere in between. It's not going to be fully changed, but the world is going to be changed by this situation.
right.
How we get things done, how, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So speaking of changing and getting things done, Jer, you stumbled across something, and I mean we'll go ahead and switch gears here because I think we beat that one with a dead horse. Stuff's getting delayed, but
we beat it with a dead horse.
Yeah,
we beat a dead horse.
We beat a dead horse. You know what I meant.
Speaking of dead horse,
if we also did it with a dead horse, because that would be interesting to see.
Speaking of dead horses, which we'll talk about later.
Dead horses.
Jer, you found a nifty little tool, and somehow I missed this, but there is one launcher to rule them all now.
Yeah,
and it's called the Go Galaxy. What is this?
It's the Go Galaxy. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you both the same question, and I'll bet you it's going to be more than you think it is. So on your guys' gaming computers or personal computer, whatever it is, how many different game launchers do you have? Like Steam, Epic, Origin?
At least 6.
At least 6.
Yeah,
okay, Joe, 6?
Yeah.
What if I told you, and this includes Xbox or PlayStation networks?
Blizzard?
Yeah, that's all of them.
Or Blizzard, or crap. Like, And what if I told you there's a place where you can merge all of those into one?
It's
Would
what
you
I've
be
been asking for forever.
okay? So there's this new cool app. I'll call it an app for lack of a better term. It's called Go Galaxy 2.0 or GOG Galaxy
Spell
2.0.
that. There you go. Yeah.
GOG, yeah. GOG Galaxy 2.0. Basically, they have created this app that allows you to merge all of your gaming platforms into one. And not just the games or anything like that. You can shuffle them into you put all your games into one library. It has all the gaming apps. You can launch the games from there as the full-blown customization, and you can also discover other games. So by the way, when we're talking about different stats and things, like I say, me and Chris are playing State of Decay 3 that's going to be coming out, hopefully the middle part next year. And he wants to say, oh, I'm farther than you in the game than you are. I was like, I don't think so. It actually has a percentage on game completion and certain cool achievements that you guys have been done. So, and your friends list also all merge, and including their activity feeds and leaderboards and all that stuff, and all the cross platform chat, which I think is they're really doing some really cool stuff over here, right?
Wait, by cross-platform, do you mean that GOG is going to allow people to play cross-platform on normally non-cross-platform things, or are you just saying that cross-platform as in unifying where you're starting the games up?
It's unifying where you're starting the games up, but it's going to have cross-platform chat. So like you're on Xbox Live and I'm on my computer, and it's saying I'd be able to chat with you right away. Okay. Which is super cool. And it syncs to multiple devices too. So if you have two computers and it's on the same thing, let's say you have like you have your home computer and then you have a laptop or something like that, and you want to go and you want to play some games because you're on family vacation and it's not as fun as you want it to be.
So
you can
basically what you're saying is I can take my Steam library and my Epic library and my Origin library, and instead of having to remember where the games are all at, I can just go to GOG. And I can launch whatever I want to launch. And then if my friends, whatever service my friends are on, like let's say you were playing something on Origin and I was just like, I want to send you a quick message and be like, hey, let's jump over to whatchamacallit, like a different game.
Yep.
It would hit you.
Yeah, just right there.
So here's something that I want to add, because Steam does most of those things. But the thing that it doesn't do, and I hope that I don't forget what I was about to say, was something that Chris just said. But Steam, like, it allows you to place a shortcut, from my understanding, to like a game in the Epic launcher. Now that Steam has these integrations with Epic Games and EA Games and stuff like that, now you can also start them out of Steam. But what? I'm sorry, Chris. What were the things that you just said? Because there was something in there that Steam doesn't allow you to do.
Was it Origin? Blizzard.
It's like, oh no, it was like basically messaging. Like if someone else is playing, say, an Origin game, but they're playing on booting it up through Steam, it still runs through Origin, but the game starts up at Steam. You know what I mean? And if your friend is playing on Origin and you're playing on Steam, you can't just do a quick invite. You got to go into the game and go into the game and invite them that way. You can't do an invite like you can when both games are on Steam. And I'm wondering if you're able to cross-platform chat, like a unifying chat, no matter what what platform or developer the game is created by, if there's like one unifying chat and stuff like that, if you're able to also, no matter where your game is located, also like send an invite to that game in GOG as well, because that would be pretty cool. Because for the most part, how pragmatic I am, and I'm like, this kind of sounds like what Steam can do. But if they can actually unify all that stuff, that it'll be huge, because everybody wants companies to stop creating their it's like, stop creating your own, dude. Just stop, make it easy on me, because I do that all the time. I'm like, oh, I think I have that game in Steam, and then I go in and it's like, nope, that's in my Epic library.
Yep.
And it's like,
so I'm not sure about the invites are concerned with they say, you know, GOG Galaxy powered multiplayer games offer matchmaking and online play. They have cloud saves, auto updates. I mean, yeah, they're not breaking any new ground here as far as a gaming platform is concerned, but what they are doing is they're trying to bring it all together into one spot. Because
they're just wrapping it
I'm
all
telling
up.
you, I probably have 100 icons on my desktop.
Oh yeah.
So if I can get rid of all the icons and just be like, click, boom, done. I'm and you can
Nice.
kind of and you can organize the games however you want. Like, okay, like simulator games, farming games, Jeremy
That's all
games,
you.
Joey games. It's all, yeah, you know, like, or like racing games. You can actually categorize them appropriately so that you don't have to sit there and thumb through, like on Steam, 800 different games or whatever, however many games you have on alphabetical order.
You
So
can create lists now on Steam too, but I just want to say really quick, I'm looking at my desktop right now, and in alphabetical order, I have Bethesda, Epic, League of Legends, which is its own launcher, Minecraft's Dungeons, because the Minecraft launchers have their own thing, Steam, Rockstar Games, Battle.net, Uplay, so many. It's
yeah,
insane.
so I'm not sure
And the
if,
Twitch ones too, because you can get games through the Twitch launcher.
yeah.
That is just so many.
Yeah, so I'm not sure of what all launchers that they've agreed with to work together, but if it cuts down at all, I'm perfectly fine with that. I had so
So
many games on my desktop at one time. I actually created a folder like most middle-aged men do and just kind of shoved everything in there and thinking, okay, I really don't need all this mess.
so we'll basically have to play around with it and see where the
Yeah.
limitations are, and
I think that's a good idea.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
we'll report back next episode
There's a lot of
What they
hand
call
stuff.
with all that. Yeah.
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 So speaking of Ubisoft, Chris.
Yeah, so I've been following the Ubisoft stuff for God, I want to say it's been a couple months now since it really started taking off. But for those of you that don't know, Ubisoft, besides being one of the largest game developers and in basically like houses in the world, right?
Yeah, CD Projekt Red just recently overtook them for the largest one in Europe. So.
Yeah. So one of the biggest developers in the world, they've been making games for 20, 30 years now. I bet everyone that's listening to this right now has played a Ubisoft game at some point over the last 10 or 15 years.
More than one.
But they have had the biggest amount of allegations of sexual misconduct, allegations of harassment in the workplace. There have been a slew of people coming forward over the last few months, and it has the potential to turn this place just completely upside down. Just recently, I mean, Jared, I sent you the story and I said, hey, dude, you need to check this out. Like, this is something we need to talk about because it affects all of us. Like, we've loved and played Ubisoft games for forever. And to hear that this is happening, like, you're like, what do I do?
It definitely lifted the veil. And after reading it, like, I was just straight up disgusted. So on their business practices, how they treated their employees and what they deemed to be acceptable. And we are going to go in somewhat in depth of that because literally there's so much to talk about that it's staggering. Like, I was reading the article and I was messaging Chris. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't believe that these people got away with some of the crap that they got away with.
I'll be honest with you, because I mean, some of the stories that have come out that have been corroborated by ex-employees and even people that are still there, right? I mean, you've got talks about staff meetings being held at strip clubs where like women decided not to partake and then were refused promotions after that because they weren't a part of the boys club. You've got like house parties where internal fraternization was basically encouraged and coerced. You've got sexual harassment allegations where like male team members would inappropriately touch coworkers, right? You've got you've got all of these different things where had these been probably in any other industry, lawsuits would have already happened, changes would have already been made. Like they would have garnered front page news and for good reason. But I think largely like a lot of this has gone basically swept under the rug because it's been part of the tech and gaming industry, which has just had a huge blind spot for a number of years until just recently.
Well,
I mean,
and I
agree.
give
I agree. It's horrible. And I'm usually the kind of guy that you gotta, before I form a heavy opinion, you gotta show me evidence. But if there's a lot of people corroborating this stuff, that's really bad. I don't think that the tech and gaming industry is like behind on the reporting of these things. We're finding out now everywhere, just like with the recent Twitch bans and stuff like that. This shit's going on everywhere, everywhere. And obviously it can't. So we're starting to hear about these things. Like, this isn't 1975. You can't, smack the secretary's booty when she's walking by. Like, you can't do this stuff. You can't hold meetings at a strip club. That's a place where women are objectified. You know what I mean? By definition, that's sexual harassment.
Or men,
in
if
my
that's what you're
mind.
into.
Yeah.
Either
definitely.
way.
Whatever kind of strip club you like.
Sorry,
Either way.
just, we had to.
Although I
we had to throw
feel
that
like
in there.
men have less of an issue being objectified than women do. Guys are like, cool, thank you.
Hey. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I agree with everything you've said. I would be hesitant to blame it on the industry, and just more so that everything's becoming transparent. You're not going to be able to get away with this stuff if this is what's going on. You know what I mean?
I just think it's been like, I mean, I think like if you read or keep up with like any news like from Silicon Valley, like the tech industry in general has been predominantly male, for the longest time. And, the best analogy that I can give to it is it's like stepping into a Call of Duty 4 lobby back when Xbox introduced chat. Right?
Dude, that's rough.
I mean,
that's some rough.
I mean,
that's some rough ground, man.
I just don't think the tech industry is different than any other industry. You look at, it's only been recently that women have been fully accepted into any workforce. You know what I mean? Like, there's still people who think women should be at home. You know what I mean? Like, there's outliers. I think every industry is modernizing, and with modernization comes this kind of transparency, where it's happening in every sector. You know what I mean? It's happening everywhere. So I don't think it's exclusive to the gaming and tech industry, or
no, I don't think it's
even the outlying industry.
I don't think it's exclusive.
It's very widespread.
I think it's just more prevalent within tech companies.
Would you include like the movie industry with that, and other big corporate entities?
I think the entertainment.
I see it everywhere.
I think the entertainment like is closely related to it, but I mean, I don't think that you're going to see the same sort of like just blatant violations like that in other industries. I mean, you're going to have like very few outliers, but when it comes to tech companies, when it comes to entertainment, it's much more likely for that to occur.
I think it's we might form that opinion now because companies like that are more in the spotlight. People are always interested in what's going on. When you have AAA games coming out, big blockbuster movies, A-listers are involved. Those are the things that people are constantly looking at. That is our entertainment. Whereas, a corporate paper mill is isn't as in the limelight. Like that might make, if there's a big corporate scandal in some sort of production like that, it's not going to get the same limelight as something happening like Weinstein or this Ubisoft stuff. Like it's just not going to get the same spotlight. Not that it doesn't deserve it. It's just not constantly under a microscope like entertainment is. You know.
Okay.
I don't know.
So, Joe, let's say you work for Ubisoft and you said, "Hey, I think it would be really cool to have kind of like a double protagonist, like a male and a female protagonist for this particular Assassin's Creed." And you worked your tail off, right, to do this.
As in, you get to choose, or there is both. Like you
kind of run them in parallel. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And then at the end of all that work, months of work, the head developer or owner says, I think a female protagonist makes us look weak. We're not going to do that.
That's just stupid. I play as women in every single game I can choose.
Yeah, I know.
So-
I know we know you do.
So one of the biggest complaints, right, with that are coming from developers within Ubisoft are basically that if you've noticed over like the last 15 years, Ubisoft games have largely been identical except for the surroundings, right? You've got a big open world game, you've got GTA style of like quests and focus points and things like that. And largely, like most of the games have male leads. They've got male protagonists in them. And the reason for that is one of the biggest offenders who was just recently let go. Basically, was he the CEO, Sergey?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
it's him. Yeah.
that was his thing. That's what he liked. So if somebody came to him with like a Horizon Zero Dawn idea with a more linear storyline, with cutscenes, with more cinematic like features, he basically axed it because that's not what he was into. So you see all of these games that Ubisoft has put out, and while they all have different titles and they all have like different stories behind them, they're largely the same game. Like that's one of the reasons why. And so
it's damn near a reskin other than the story.
So I mean, in addition to them cleaning house, and they have said that they are working on cleaning up their act basically so that they can be a better role model for the industry. I'm thinking of it also because I want to make sure that I don't downplay the offenses that have occurred, right? Because those are super important, and nobody deserves to basically have to go through that, especially in the workforce, right? But on the other side of that, on the B side of that, I'm thinking, okay, so if this guy has basically drawn a box around all of these developers for all this time, what could they potentially come up with now that somebody else is in charge?
Yeah. I mean, the Assassin's Creed games they're freaking fantastic. Division 2 is a flop, right?
Division 2 was fun.
Yeah,
it
but
was fun, but it was way lower
Yeah.
expectations than what they were expecting to make on a game from a financial perspective.
I tend to really like Ubisoft games. I like their like the extreme sports games they put out, but I also like the Assassin's Creed type or the Ghost Recon type game, which includes like the Division 2. But
Sure.
That doesn't take anything away from the gravity of what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Yeah, for me, I try to separate the art from the artist, but yeah, that's egregious. I mean, all of these things we're talking about are bad, and there's no way, you know, I'm not trying to simplify any of them because just because I like the games doesn't mean I agree with what's going on at the company, you know?
Sure. And if any of the people who came forward and happened to stumble upon this YouTube video or this podcast or this stream, kudos to you, man.
We're with you. Yeah. More power
for
to
coming
you.
coming forward and saying what needed to be said.
Yeah,
Please.
that's what needs to happen. There's so many reasons why victims don't come forward, and a lot of the time you see people coming forward who aren't actually victims, but they just want to make a big fuss. When you see actual victims come forward, it's like that takes a lot of
Well,
courage,
Joe, like one of
especially.
the biggest things in this story was people have been coming forward for years, and HR has been sweeping it under the rug.
Yeah, that's horrible. That's horrid. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if I could find the dude that was doing that, put me in a room with him for 5 minutes. You know what
Let's
I mean?
go.
Like, yeah. But yeah, like I said, it's horrible. I don't like anybody who victimizes anybody else. Doesn't matter your sex, anything. If you victimize other people, you are a bad person in my eyes. And
So, like, I think one of the
it's
things
definitely something I'm going to keep in mind going forward as I look at Ubisoft games. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's something to keep in mind.
yeah, and that's one of my points too. Is like now I'm kind of torn because on one hand I'm like, look, like I don't condone that sort of behavior, especially that sort of like it's been happening for so long. You know, that type of prolonged behavior is just inexcusable. So part of me wants to say, you know what? I know Far Cry 6 is coming out, and I've played like I don't know. I don't think I played Far Cry 2. Anyway,
Yeah, Far Cry's are Ubisoft.
but
Still the same type of game.
you know what I'm saying though? I'm like, do I just say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take a year off of Ubisoft games just so I can show support to the people that have come forward with all of this, or that it's affected, or do I say, you know what? There are still good people that work at Ubisoft, and I want to support them as well by purchasing a game that I would normally purchase. So that's I'm torn.
Because there are victims, but there are also people who still need to feed their family. And as much as we would like to tear down everything that has anything bad in it, we got to realize that Ubisoft does employ a ton of people. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where you basically got to just try to, cut the head off the snake and wait to see what takes its place. You know what I mean? And hopefully they get it right the next time. And hopefully the bad people at the top, who, however many there are, they see whatever justice they deserve. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that brings up a next question then. Like, because normally, like, if a company is behaving abhorrently despicable, right? As consumers, we have the power to let them know how we feel about them by choosing somebody else. But in this scenario, what we're talking about is we're talking about like the men and the women that have gone through the harassment and are still a part of the Ubisoft company that are still making these great games. Like in this scenario, like how do we reach out and say, hey, we don't appreciate what you're doing. We're supporting your people, but what you're doing is not okay. Like
I think
what's the break point?
Similar to the Me Too movement. Now, like I said, a lot of the people and the thing that came out of the Me Too movement is we see the danger of automatically believing people and condemning people for something that there's no proof of, but we also see that this abuse is commonplace and that we need to support actual victims. So I'm not saying if you hear about something like this happening, automatically the person who's allegedly has done something that is a horrible person and the victim, if there's no proof to back it up. But when you have a lot of people coming with the same story, it's like, okay, obviously something's happening and attention needs to be brought to it. And how do you bring attention to things in the modern age? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you know what I mean? Call these people, the companies themselves and the people within the companies, they have a username. Add them. You know what I mean? Especially if you have the power of a large group of people following you. Hashtag something, start something out, get a movement going. And the best thing you can do in any situation is let other people know. If people are being victimized, let other people know. You don't have to, if you don't feel like completely disregarding the games that Ubisoft and stuff like that puts out and boycotting them as a whole, that's a totally fine decision. But at the same time, you don't have to do anything. But I think if you feel something strongly like this, you should stick to your convictions and do whatever you feel is right. Don't let other people tell you what is right. If you feel like you should get on and just say, hey, like this happened, this wasn't cool, here's the article that I'm citing from, people should know about this, hashtag never again, whatever you want to do, like that, that's awesome. If you want to boycott the company, that's completely your decision too. Just know that you as a consumer are able to influence these things because their money comes from us. You know what I mean? And so
in this situation, do you think that representation would be a good starting point?
Like legal representation for the people who
I'm talking like even like union representation. Like, do you think that like there should be some sort of oversight when it comes to workers like this, like in this industry?
There is oversight. It's called a whistleblower program, and every HR person has a responsibility to report those things to the authority if it is a fact a criminal offense.
Unless
I understand these are in different countries. Okay, so
yeah,
one was in
and that's the thing, we don't know
Bulgaria,
much about the
one's in
legality.
France,
Yeah.
one was in Canada, one was in some of the stuff was in one was in San Francisco. So
Yeah.
nevertheless, so even if it was just San Francisco, that then pops the question, right? What else is going on with the rest of the company? And then the news comes out. By the way, Ubisoft stock has dropped 40%. So since all this stuff has started to come out, so people and investors and people who financial backers of the company, when they want to make big projects, they're kind of not there anymore. So this already is taking an effect, whether you buy games or not. Yeah, but yeah, people are going to start losing their jobs. People are going to start answering questions. And I can assure you, if there isn't a legal action being taken, I'm sure there are lawyers putting together a large case.
There's a lot of money to be made here for lawyers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to make light of the situation of the victims, but lawyers will jump on this kind of stuff, and rightfully so. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just personally, and speaking candidly, because I love you guys, like, I don't know if I can boycott Ubisoft because, like we were just talking about last episode before I knew any of this stuff, like having the new game, at least Far Cry 6, like I want to play it. Like it looks so interesting, but then at the same time in my head, I'm like, a lot of the people who made this are probably assholes, and it's like, God, but that's something that I'm going to have to decide on my own. I'm going to have to, in my head, decide what I think is right. You know what I mean?
You're going to pay extra attention to that storyline now. I can assure you that.
Yeah.
True.
But when things like this happen in this day and age, it changes happen. You know what I mean? Once you get blown out, I mean, it's either changes happen and the people doing it get in trouble, or I'm not even gonna say what happens next because.
Well, let's just, you know what? Let's just. I think I've got a great summation for this, right? And this is Ubisoft. If you're listening, well, you've already got a new HR person, but add some diversity to your team and let them see what they can come up with. I guarantee whatever a new regime will bring in is going to be better than some of the crap games you've been putting out for the last 10 years.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe new power will come up with new ideas. You know what I mean? That's the most beautiful thing about diversity is it makes you break the mold.
Well, yeah, and yeah.
All right.
Basically, that's pretty much all I have to say about that as well.
Let's go to a more positive note.
Yay, positive. Hashtag Chris for Ubisoft HR. Yeah.
Don't at me, by the way.
Good job.
Okay, so let's go into a little niche.
Niche.
Little
I got hit on this earlier today on my stream, by the way, like how I pronounced it incorrectly.
It should be niche.
Niche.
But I always want to say niche, like a little niche.
That's what I say that sometimes.
I know.
Just roll
niche.
It doesn't matter.
Niche.
People who who understand what you're saying and still get on you for your grammar are idiots. Language. The only reason that there's language is so you can understand what someone else means. So don't correct people if they say niche.
True.
Just roll with it.
So there's a little community, right? And look, I'm no stranger to RP. right? I've been a Critical Role fan and watched D&D for like years now. But there's a community that's playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on RP servers, creating some hysterical content.
Yes. Man, let me tell you. So, one of our favorite streamers, Red Seal, who we're going to have on soon enough for an interview, he's agreed to come on. Thank you very much, Red. He sort of led the charge for me on discoverability for Red Dead Redemption RP. And just sitting there watching him play and go through, he's developed two characters. So basically you register with this website called WWRP and you have to get whitelisted, but you go through this whole slew questionnaire, like how you would handle certain situations, because they want you to RP it out as much as you possibly can and develop your character, basically live a pseudo personality through this game. And I'm telling you right now, like, there are certain things that happen in this game, and given the beautiful cinematics and everything, like it's really breathtaking. But like, for instance, one of the funniest things that I've seen some funny stuff recently, because more of my friends have started to play it now. Riot White's playing it as well. Is so Red Seal has a character called Salvatore Cassini, and he moved from. You have to create this whole backstory of like genealogy and all that stuff, right? It's really, really well in depth. Moved from New York. He's a train conductor. By the way, the train doesn't really work in this game, in this particular game mode. So he's always kind of just hanging around the station and kind of waiting for the train. So people come up to him and talk to him and stuff like that. Well, one time he decided, you know what, screw this. I'm going to go look for the train. So he gets his little pedicab thing, horse-drawn pedicab, and he starts driving down the track the opposite way. He's like, I'm gonna find this damn train. So here he goes, he's driving, and on this overlook, there was a guy and a girl. He's like, hey, what are you doing over there? He's, oh, we're hanging out. This is our make-out point. By the way, you want to join us? And the you can hear the tone, because it's all TeamSpeak, localized TeamSpeak. There's a lot of technology that goes into this. It's really, really great. And his reaction, like it caught him off guard. He's like, "Well, no, I'm just looking for the train. Like I'm just gonna keep going. By the way, thanks for the offer." And he's like, "Well, if you want to come back through here and you change your mind, like where we're at. This is our make-out point. This is where we hang out all the time." And I'm like, "What the hell just happened?" Oh man! And he just a couple minutes later, he's driving. He's like, "Man, where's this train?" I'm like, "I don't know. Why don't you go take those people up on their offer?"
Nothing like getting propositioned in the Wild West.
That's content right there. Joey, you've seen some stuff. Is there any instances that you can kind of highlight?
Not particularly. I was watching Wyatt the other day, and he got caught in he died and got stuck in native land, and that was an interesting experience.
So
it's something I'm interested in. I love role playing. But yeah, shenanigans ensue instantly. Cool.
So I'm glad you brought the word native up, because I was watching Riot stream and he was in the middle of this town. Like, I forget which town it was in the RDR world, and he's having this conversation with like 3-4 people. He's trying to tell them a story and stuff like that, and he says the word native. Well, somebody must have been worth an earshot on TeamSpeak, and a guy comes over. He's like, "Hey, what'd you say, man? Like, what? Like, in character, like, don't be talking about my people that way." Da, 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 da. He's like, "Hey, man, chill out." Like, Wyatt in his Mike Tyson voice that he uses for his character. He says it's not Mike Tyson. It's Mike Tyson. I swear to God, with an accent. It's great. He's like, so he's like, "Hey, man, what are you talking about my people?" He's like, "Well, I'm not talking." And then he's like, "Listen," he's like, and Wyatt's like, "Hey, you got to back off, dude. Like, I'm just trying to tell these people a story." He's like, "You know what? I don't appreciate that." And he goes and puts his hands like to choke him, and Wyatt just takes a knife out and just fucking stabs the guy. Sorry, you can blank that out if you want to. And then next thing you know, there's like 20 people around, and they're just like shouting, but it's like a real like argument going on. And I'm like, this is not this is not video games for me, man. This is fantastic, because I just felt like I was an innocent bystander of something that, So it's pretty interesting. If you want to, I've seen another guy who's a musician. He just rides the train and plays the guitar for people, and it's like, it's pretty rad. Like, it's what these people do. Moonshiner. You can be a one of Wyatt's characters is a hunter
Fur
skinner,
trader.
so like fur trader, which is kind of cool. Like, you have these internal jobs that people can do outside of it allows you. Oh, see, look at see that's what I'm talking about. I am hooked. Thanks. I know we don't really address the chat very much whenever we do this, but Red Seal, yes, I'm talking about when those people propositioned you at a lookout point.
Yeah, I think
it's fantastic.
one
By the way,
of the interesting things is it takes the game and it takes it to a whole different level. Because I mean, you can go through and you can play through the game, and that's cool, and you can watch people play through the game, and that's fun. But then you stumble upon like these RP streamers, and it's instantly like something else, right? And I think the cool thing is like you can watch gameplay, and I mean, like I'll watch people play Apex, you know, and no matter what, it's always the same thing. It's you're shooting people, you're trying to get to the circle, you're trying to win. But when you're introducing basically like a made up story into the game, it changes constantly.
Yeah, that's the major difference. And that's, you know, a lot of people think about RPGs now and they have this idea in their head of what a role playing game is, but role playing harkens back to the old Dungeon and Dragons days and stuff like that. So with most games, you're given a narrative and content. With a role playing game, you are the narrative and content. You're creating your own story. So it is a completely different experience. You know what I mean? It's not tailored to be clean and perfect. It's tailored to be, you know, kind of spontaneous and messy, and that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So if you are interested in this, and honestly, every single time you tune into somebody's stream, they're doing RP, and like I said, Red has two characters. He has William Burr and he has Salvatore Cassini. They're totally two different people, and they kind of run in tandem. It's a fantastic little way to kind of escape and do an alter world, so to speak. And if you go through the streamer list on Red Dead, you'll see WWRP, and they have their certain characters, and it's a fantastic community. Red, thank you very much for exposing us to that, because I've found the light. I couldn't do it myself because a lot of people like live on those RP servers.
That's apparently a lot of work.
But it's a lot of work. And Wyatt actually didn't get accepted the first time. I thought he was going to break down. He's like, "This is BS, man. Man." He got all. So he had a lot of colorful words in Discord. Put it that way.
So for all of you watching and listening out there, if you haven't done it yet, just search over to I mean, you can definitely go to Red Seal's page, right? We'll plug Red Seal.
Yeah, just go to Red Seal or Wyatt Wyatt underscore Wyatt.
Yeah. And if neither of them are on, go to Red Dead 2 and then just search for the WWRP or the RP in the name just to check it out.
Yeah,
it's fun.
You won't be disappointed. And just kind of sit back, grab a beer or an adult beverage, and just get ready to watch a movie. That's basically what it turns into.
Yeah.
Or if you're not Jared, just maybe some water. You know,
water's fine.
There you go.
Gatorade, maybe you've had a big workout and you need some Gatorade. You know, what I mean? You don't always have to drink alcohol, is what I'm saying. Just a friendly reminder.
So. Switching gears.
Not always.
Switching gears. There's we've been playing a lot of Rocket Arena lately too.
Yeah, we have actually. So Rocket Arena was one of the games that we highlighted on our game special a couple weeks ago. It was it's a lot of fun. First off, it's a 3v3, just absolute slug match. They have different characters with different abilities, and we've all gotten a chance to play it by ourselves. They have a pre-season ranked mode. They have knockout. They have, which is basically kills, right? But we had an opportunity earlier this week to play it together for about 4 or 5 games, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Like, there is a competitive aspect to the game, but it's not like Overwatchy. You know what I mean? It's not like You do get a little frustrated. Like I got frustrated last night, I think, when I was playing it, but like you don't
Well,
get like
Well, and I know I was playing with Hamsta one day, and I don't have a voice enabled like when I play, mostly
probably a good
because
idea.
yeah, I mean when I'm streaming, I never know what I'm gonna get, especially like
Yeah.
with games like Overwatch. And I just don't want to. I don't want to get into that toxicity. Like I don't want to hear people like cussing at each other or getting angry at each other. And I didn't tell Hamstead that I didn't have voice on, and he had voice on in his. And apparently, like our teammate was just like
Just letting it loose.
letting it loose, man. And it immediately put him in the wrong frame of mind, being his first game playing, you know. And I'm like, and then I told him, I was like, dude, I was like, I don't have voice enabled. I don't want to listen to anybody complain, you know.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, dude. It's a fun game. I think it's more akin to Smash Brothers, like
Yeah, it's like a third-person Smash Brothers with rockets.
it really is. It's got that cartoony sort of look to it that you would associate with like Fortnite. But the mechanics of it, the way that you've got a basically like a smash bar that fills up, and as soon as that fills up, like the next hit you get blasts you out of the arena. And so whether you're playing what are the game modes, Jared? There's knockout, which is
there's knockout, there's rocket ball, and there's
and
mega rocket.
Mega Rocket. So you've got one knockouts basically like Smash. It's the first team to 20 knockouts wins. Then you've got Rocket Ball, which is it the first team to 5 goals? Is it 5 goals or 4 goals?
I think it's 5.
5.
If you guys remember the old American Gladiators, and I realize I'm dating myself there used to be like
The
you have to take a
gauntlet?
ball. Basically, yeah, you have to take a ball and like put it into like a little holder thing, and depending on which one it was, you got a certain amount of points. That's similar to what Rocket Ball is. Sorry, I dated myself again. Damn it, jeez.
That's okay.
All right.
If
moving
you
on.
don't know what American Gladiator is, look it up. You're in for a good time.
Yes.
Oh, it's
God, I love that show, dude. When I was a kid.
Nitro.
Blazer
I
and
used to just
Blazer.
love to see the gladiators just smash people,
Yeah.
just completely wreck the contestants.
I
It was
always
amazing.
the
I
tennis
wanna
ball
get up on
gun.
that cannon,
Yes!
just shoot.
Yes.
Like, how can they miss these guys?
I know, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Lead them.
let's
The contestants were at a severe, like, they were at a disadvantage the entire time. It was
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
continue. Sorry.
sorry. So
Rocket.
Rocket Rocket Arena. And then
Yeah.
let's see what's the last one is Rocket Mega Rocket,
Mega Rocket.
which is basically like a capture the flag sort of thing. A
Capture point.
capture point.
Yeah.
A rocket will jet down to the ground, and there's an area around it, and basically a team just needs to capture it, and while the other team tries to knock you out, basically.
And that's called mayhem.
It very much is.
Oh my god! There's so much damage that gets
is like elimination.
Pretty much.
Rocket ball is like capture the flag with a ball, and then Mega Rocket is like the capture point levels in like COD. Basically,
Yeah, like
is the way I think
domination
of it.
or
That's what I'm thinking. Domination. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it's a lot of fun. I think there's a little bit of work to be done. There are some pain points with the game. There are definitely some characters that feel like they're stronger than others. And then there's I think the one annoying thing with the game is you have to go into it knowing that it's like Smash Brothers, and it's definitely an arcade game. Right. And if you're used to shooters, if you're used to tactical shooters, if you're used to even like team-based, like Overwatch style, you're going to get frustrated because in this game, there's no easy way to get away and dodge things. I mean, you've got one dodge ability and then it goes on cooldown. But if somebody can hit you once and then twice,
multiple times,
you're basically done for.
You also have accessories that can augment different components, like lower your cooldown for dodge and stuff like that. But yeah, basically you got a dodge every couple or few seconds. And if you have a couple people, focusing on you, it can just go pew pew pew, and you're out.
Yeah,
and it is
kind of what it sounds like.
If you're if you're an FPS player, there is no hit scan in this game. Everything is projectiles and everything is different speed projectile.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Is Boone? Oh, the Boone. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple that
sure
act
it's not
like
projectile. It's just a really fast projectile.
He's a sniper basically.
Yeah.
I know, but I don't think it's hit scan. I think it's still projectile.
It's real fast. It's
just
pretty
really
close.
fast.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
close. I don't
pretty
think
close.
you can hit from across the map. You don't need to calculate like drop or anything.
Yeah, which is pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
I'm not thinking more drop. I'm just thinking if someone's in motion, you can miss them. Whereas if someone's in motion with hit scan, doesn't matter. You hit them
Yeah, I was
if your
gonna say,
crosshairs over them.
He hits.
Really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the community is really, really good. I've had a lot of success streaming it. Chris has had a lot of success streaming it as well. Not a lot of people are streaming it, which is obviously there's viewers there. So guys, if you want a game that you want to pick up and you need a little bit more exposure, that's the one, man. Right now, as it is.
Aki says esports worthy ?
No.
And I say yes.
Not
You
yet.
think so?
Just as much as Super
Nah.
Smash Brothers, yes.
I don't
Maybe
think
down
it's
the
ready
road.
yet. Yeah. I think
Down the road.
I think they need to if they
Well, but that's what I'm like. Down the road counts as esports worthy to me. It's like Overwatch. Like it might not have been esports
Sure.
worthy right off the bat, but every game has starts somewhere, and it's a journey. You know what I mean? And it's one of those games where they are going to have to make changes to characters, and there's always going to be one person that's OP or whatever to some people, and it's just the way the games like this work. You know what I mean? Is it? In my opinion, yes, it's esports worthy. I think they need to do some adjusting, but that takes time. And once that happens, I definitely see at least a small community growing for it.
It's enjoyable for me. It's an arcade game. I've enjoyed
It's
it.
fun to watch and it's fun to play with your friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Chris?
I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings about it. I mean, I think it could be, but I also think that they need to introduce some different game modes for it, because I think from somebody watching it from a viewer perspective, it can be a little hectic. I mean, you've got on one hand you've got knockout, which is first team to 20 knockouts, and there's a lot of stuff going on screen. If you're looking at it in first person, you know, I mean, I know like when I'm looking at my character, like my guy is just everywhere, you know, flicking this way, flicking this way. From a third party perspective, like if you were just looking down into the game, seeing all of it unfold, it may be a little bit too chaotic, you know. And I think that's one of the things that Overwatch has kind of got hampered with, is because there's a lot going on the screen when you're a 6v6. The 3v3 is a smaller size, and it's definitely a smaller map for sure, but there's still a ton going on very quickly. And I think depending on how that goes, it could either be a good thing or a bad thing. I think if they introduced a different style of play to it, it may have more success. But I think right now, I don't know. We'd have to wait and see.
Free for all would be a blast on that, by the way, on a bigger map.
Yeah.
It would be good.
Sure.
All right, Joe. Well, I'll tell you what. Every week, Chris always hits us up. Every week we give Joe a segment. He always changes the name. Hit it with us.
No, that's not the joke. The joke is every week.
Thank you for
the name is the same.
I messed it up. God.
No, it's just a little segment this week. It doesn't matter because turns out we've gone a lot longer than we thought we were going to. But I was a little hard up for information this week because I've gone camping and stuff. So we'll just start it off. The Force is with us is today's theme. Destiny 2 Season of Arrivals has been extended, which also means Beyond the Light expansion has been pushed back to November 10th.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma, if you've never played the game, it's a good melee JRPG-ish type game. There's going to be a Netflix anime series. It's in the works. Let's see here. Star Wars The Old Republic is free to play, but now it is also free to play on Steam, which grants you access to each of the 8 classes, their story missions, all the way up through, I think, the first campaign. If you like the game and you would like more of the content, subscriptions start at $14.99 a month. Let's see. There have been a lot of rumors and leaks going on in the Disney Lucasfilm arena Some people were saying that they were going to scrap the entire sequel trilogy and basically put that in its own expanded universe. I don't know about that. There hasn't been any confirmation on that, but there has been confirmation that the Star Wars movies that are in the works right now have been delayed, including the next trilogy. But that's okay because there's about 10 years worth of Star Wars content in the works right now. The evil Empress Kathleen Kennedy looks like she's on her way out, so we can expect better than The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. And it looks also like the CEO of Disney announced that there will be a Lucas cut of The Rise of Skywalker coming to Disney Plus in 2023, and that's going to include all of the stuff we missed out on that could have made the story a little sharper. Yeah, including we'll just say it, Anakin, Luke coming back to life for a while, Palpatine coming back to life for a bit, the inclusion of the Dark Acolyte, Rey actually playing with her new yellow lightsabers that you see hinted at, but they never gave her a scene with her Sentinel lightsaber. More of Kylo Ren, and a lot of the dead Jedi that happened post Revenge of the Sith coming back and empowering them. The cut is supposed to be around 4 hours long, so that's coming in 2023. Like I said, there's a decade worth of stuff that's going on. It looks like the people at Lucasfilm, which might be including George Lucas himself soon, maybe, is looking promising for the future of for our favorite galaxy far, far away. The big news for me, the big takeaway is that Kathleen Kennedy, her contract is probably not going to be renewed in 2021, which is honestly great news for Star Wars.
Nice.
And that was The Force is With Us.
Thanks, Joe.
Sorry, I messed up the intro.
It's okay, dude. It just is. I mean, last time I didn't even pick it up on the first time. I sharded myself and didn't work.
Oh my
You
gosh.
pooped.
All right.
Yeah.
And then I guess the last part of this is so we haven't had anything on the streaming front as far as like I don't know, hardware or software or tips or tricks over the last couple of weeks. One of the things that I've been doing lately, and I know, Jer, you went and had some emotes made.
That is a whole nother podcast, so we'll talk about that. But yeah, it didn't go very well. Well, and the emotes went fine.
Yeah, your
Other
emotes
things
went
with
fine.
Fiverr didn't. Yeah.
So
Continue.
so I hit affiliate a few weeks back. God, has it been a month yet? I think it's been almost a month.
Close.
Close, yeah.
And so like I started working on emotes, and the first emote I did was of my dog as a puppy because I wanted to do a theme, right?
He's not a puppy anymore.
I know, but I wanted to have like eventually I'm gonna have like he's gonna be puppy stage, and then like 2 years old, and then older. Yeah, there goes Ake's. Ake's putting it up in the chat, and but I had like 4 other slots, and I'm like, okay, well, like what can I do, right? What can I do? Let's look for some ideas. I had ideas of what I wanted, but ultimately I turned to Fiverr again, looking for like, what can I do? What can I get? How much is this going to cost? And I kept coming up with, and you see them in a lot of streams, these emoji like emotes, and they, there's tons of different poses with these emojis that people have. And I'm like, okay, well, let's look and see what the costs are for somebody to do a custom one of me. And I saw that they were going for like almost like some $10, $15 a piece. And I'm like, man, I was like, this really adds up if you're going to start buying like 3 or 4 of them. And all of them looked, if you go through Fiverr and you type in emote, a lot of them look the same. And I don't want to crap on any artists that are on Fiverr because I think there's some amazing people and I've had amazing work done. But some of these emotes, they look very, 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 I don't want to say suspicious, but they just looked alike. So I'm like, okay, let me do some research on this. So I took out my iPad and I just started going through apps, emoji apps. Pet emojis, right? To emojify your pet. I stumbled across one called Emoji Me, and this is a free app. in this app, basically it's like creating an emoji of yourself. You go through, you create what your face looks like, you create what you're wearing, and then there's like 50 or 60 different poses in here. And what I noticed was a lot of the emotes that you see on Fiverr are from this app, which is free.
And that's why you really want to, when you're working with a freelancer, basically of any kind, you want to look at their portfolio and you want to see what other, as a freelancer myself, this is what I recommend. And you want to look at their portfolio and you want to see what people have said about their experience with this person. You know what I mean? It's just like looking at something on Amazon. It's like, oh, there are 5-star reviews and all of them are in broken English. Those are bots.
Yeah.
Those are not real reviews. And there's a lot of people on Fiverr who take advantage of the fact that they can make a quick buck, which for us here in America, you know, may not seem like much, but in different areas of the world, $15, you know, for some emote that you copied out of an app, it's free money. You know what I mean? Barely any work. So for someone like me who creates art, those people basically hamstring real artists. You know what I mean?
I think
so.
My point was though, Joe, is like if you're, you know, for somebody that doesn't have a lot of money to go out there and spend, like let's say you don't have the $15 for the emote, like this app is a fantastic alternative to that. Because really and truly, like you can basically, I mean, there's everything from making it rain to a face palm to mic drops, high fives, you know, kiss blowing.
Yeah, and apps like that are only going to continue to improve as we go along.
Yeah, like
so,
Absolutely.
There's some cool stuff here, and you can customize it. You can customize it with text. You can download it and throw it into a free software like GIMP, right? To resize it to Twitch's size that you need, and then you've got free emotes. So you know, if you, I know because Jared, when we were talking about it, you're on your emotes, you were like, man, I don't know how to do that. I told you initially, like, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know?
Yeah.
I was like, I wouldn't even know how to start to create something like that. And then when it came time for it, like, I was just like, okay, let me go down a rabbit hole. Let me see what I can find out. And then I stumbled on this one and I'm like, oh crap. I've seen all of these on like the front page of Fiverr. And I think people need to know that they have alternatives out there. You know, if they're even if they're scared to and they don't know where to start, this is a great place to start.
Yeah. And if you're looking for something more, which I mean, honestly, those emotes and I've seen a couple apps like that and they're great. You know what I mean? But if you're looking for something that's even, and at some point you're basically going to be able to do all this yourself. You know what I mean? There's going to be an app that allows you to make all the changes you want. But until that day comes, if you want something more customized to your brand, word of mouth is the best form of best way to come up to people that you like. You know what I mean? I know other streamers that have used other artists. Like last time we talked about with Killshot Kitty about, you know, the people who did her graphics, the people who did her emotes and stuff like that. And it's like, they're great. And you can find a lot of good people on Twitter too. You can just go in and search for people, you know what I mean? And a lot of people will have their rates and what they can do for you pinned at their home. So don't get overwhelmed by the price of some things, like Chris said, because a lot of things you can do yourself. And if you can't do yourself, you can do it yourself at first. And if you want to upgrade at some point, you can, but make sure you know who you're buying from, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the tip and trick for today is
what was the app again?
It's called Emoji-Me.
Okay.
And it's on iOS. I didn't look to see if it was available on Android because I just did it from my iPad.
Okay, on iOS.
It's so weird to hear you talk about iOS stuff because I know you're a big Android guy.
I know. But you know, super easy to use. You can download basically anything that you want. You can throw it into and resize it in GIMP or any other free editing software, and then you're good to go. So if you're like me and you just didn't want to have empty emote spots for the time being, if you wanted to put something in there that was functional that you halfway liked before you decided to go and find an artist and spend the money and go on brand, this is a great alternative.
That's cool. I didn't know this, and as someone who's been an affiliate for like a year and still hasn't put in for my sub badge or emotes because I take so long to do anything for myself, I might actually just do this for the time being. You know what I mean? Just to fill the gap.
Well, and
to get something going.
What's cool, Joe,
Yeah.
is some of them have words already on them, but
Mhm.
you can actually just go in there and customize it and remove them. So if you want to,
Nice.
go into GIMP and add your own, like, like I've, Aki's spamming mine in chat. Like if you want to add Pog
Yeah.
to one of them, or if you want to add,
High parade, things like that.
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
they're all
you
there.
can,
That's awesome.
you can take just the emoji part of it and then add your own text
Add
to
what
it,
you want.
whatever your
That's
text
cool.
flavor wants to be, and then you're good to go.
That's dope.
Right on. Well, thanks, Chris,
Yeah.
for that tips
Yeah,
and
that
tricks.
honestly, I didn't know that that's where we were going with this, and that's great for me. So thank you.
Yeah. So okay, I guess very, very last thing, we've got a channel, and I know I've been following her for years now.
Same. Yeah.
The streamer that we were gonna highlight today is none other than the beautiful Yui.
Yeah. Yui.
So I will say that Yui was probably one of the first streamers that I started watching in Twitch. I basically came over for, oh God, what did I come over for? I came over for Tim the Tatman, started watching Critical Role, and then I found Yui. And Yui is very bubbly. You'll find her playing a lot of FPS games. Lately, she's been streaming Ghost of Tsushima, which is cool. But she's a very, very positive person. You don't see her raging at all. Multiple times a month now, or at least one time a month, she's doing a 24-hour stream. She's cool. You should check her out. We're definitely gonna give a link to her in the description.
Do we want to rate her?
She's not on right now.
No,
She's not on right now. Okay.
she goes during the
No.
day mostly.
Yeah, she's a day streamer.
Yeah.
So
Well, hit her up
Okay.
and check her out.
yeah. My kid's yelling over there. I
Yeah.
can hear him.
Yeah. Anything to add?
No, he must be going pee or something like that. Who
Yell
knows?
expletives at your kids while
Yeah,
you're
I know,
streaming on
right?
Twitch.
Yes.
Have I done that before?
No.
Huh? No, I'm saying it would be awesome. We could just,
Oh.
I don't know,
Yeah. Let's
turn
just.
it
You know,
into a clip and put it on Twitter.
If it's, yeah, great. Make me famous that way. That's fine.
Like
Well,
people
I mean,
spitting
Infamous.
vodka into their pets' mouths and throwing animals and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Well, I mean,
Right up there,
Paige is-
Jer's yelling curse words at his kids.
Well, I used to have my desk facing the other way to the door, and the reason for that was I changed it was because when my son was potty training, he would literally just walk in with no pants. I'm like, dude, you gotta have pants on. You can't be in here. Thank goodness he was so short that you couldn't see. All you saw was his little head just after the. Hey,
Which
what are you
little head?
doing, Dad? Hey, what are you doing, guy?
Yeah.
What are you doing in here? You need to have
I
pants
wonder
on.
how
You
Joel,
can't be in here.
Joel, this is
I'm
not
sure that
okay.
happens. I
This is
wonder
not
how
okay.
Twitch-
It's not okay. First off,
wonder
I
how
don't want to
Twitch
see
handles
it.
that though. Do we
I
know
don't
how
wanna
Twitch
see it.
handles that? Like
No,
if
I
your
have
kid
no
just
idea.
comes bursting in.
Yeah.
I don't
You
think
know
we
what I
want to
mean?
know.
Yeah, I don't want to be the
guinea
yeah, I
pig
don't
to
wanna
find
be-
out?
No. Sorry, Twitch.
No, I
Everybody
wouldn't
saw
want
my
you to
kid's
be either,
penis.
but-
It happened. So anyway.
All right. So guys, what are
1 second, buddy. 1 second. I'm almost done. Matter of fact, come here. You want to be a star?
here he is now.
Yeah. Here he is now. Here's my monster. Hey, say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, bud.
Good dinner. How's it going? Say hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi,
Hey.
Joey.
Hi, Zoe.
What's up, dude?
Yeah. All right. With that, we're about done.
All right. So Joe, what are you doing this week? Where can people find you?
I don't know. I'm not gonna promise anything. I'll try to stream at some point. If I do, I'll let people know on Twitter and in Discord. But more than likely, a lot of the people watching right now, I will see in their own streams or one of your guys' streams. And other than that, I will talk to y'all next time.
All right. Jer, what are you doing this week?
Taking care of that guy. No, this week, Monday through Friday, I am working swing shifts, so I will not be available during the evening hours. Probably be streaming during the day. You're gonna find me at Twitch.tv/Robinson714. Probably
like, yeah.
playing the new game Rogue Company. Played it today. Awesome. Chris, you're gonna download it too.
Yeah, I need to find
So
it.
is Joey. It's on Epic.
No, I have. First of all, I'm just got into like
Rocket
getting
Arena?
super into Destiny again and Rocket Arena and stuff like that. It's like, and thank you for getting me Rocket Arena again too. But dude, there's so many games. I want to play Star Wars: The Old Republic, dude. I'll try it with you.
That's a rabbit. That's gonna take you weeks because whenever my brother plays it, he's like, "Oh, I'm playing KOTOR again." That means don't talk to me. So yeah, that's you can find me during the daytimes and probably hanging out with that guy.
Cool. All right, you guys, you can find me streaming on Twitch. I'm trying a new schedule out starting next week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then of course weekend nights. It didn't change that much, but
But the second thought.
but the days look, here's the thing. Like the days that I was taking off before, they just the way that they landed, it was just weird for like trying to upload stuff and all that other stuff. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can find me at Shiesty Chris everywhere. I think that's it.
There it goes.
Guys, say goodnight.
Yeah, who do we want to go
Later,
to?
y'all. Who
do we want to? Let's do Hamster, dude. Let's take everybody to Hamster. He's playing some Apex.
Okay, let's do this.
Yeah,
Guys, we're gonna
take you over to a friend of ours, Hamster. He's
but
Apex
let's go
player.
ahead and we're gonna go ahead and let's stop the recording. Let's say goodnight now.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Love you.
Later, gamers.